That's it. And well, this is exciting evening. Hello to everybody in our audience, and also to our guests tonight. We have Nathan Ciszek, who's back, and also Rob from, of course, a typical Skeptic podcast. This is like we've been looking forward to this. So glad we're able to get together, get our schedules lined up. That is. I know, Rob, you're in between podcasts right now.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I wanted to say it's like I think this was a much needed conversation because a lot of people are dying in the community. So
Yes.
I tagged you guys on Facebook about this. Kat Bennett died recently. I know Nate was friends with her. I don't know what's going on. It's James Ray, Renetta, Kat Bennett. You know what I mean? It's something's going on for sure. I don't know what it is, but. It's yeah. I'm excited to be here.
Mother's yes. So I was okay. No. I just been. This is weird. Okay. I've just been kind of messing around with some background ideas, and honestly, it feels like we're in a psyop inside a psyop, where this is my thing, that they're creating this narrative. And they're pushing certain puppets or tools, obviously, forward, and they're getting all the celebrity stuff. And what they're going to do is build them up, because they've been doing a lot of really weird, off the walls type stuff recently, which makes no sense. And Nate and I have been joking around in the background. But, but I suspect that they're bringing these people up, they're putting them out in the mainstream. They're making them say really stupid stuff and absolutely no rational thinking or any kind of true real corroborations or evidence or anything like that. And what I think they're going to do is make them look like idiots, like a rag magazine, which is what it looks like right now. And then they're going to slowly pull them all down, thereby destroying our entire community. Because we'd be guilty by association. All the ET nuts are ET nuts. Because look at all the people that were fakers, right? Because we know some of them are going to be drawn out as fakers right in front of us. So we're all going to this is cookie cutter to what they did back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And they're playing the same game because it works so well. But anyway, that's my thought on what might be rolling out here. So.
I totally agree with that. And just to let everybody know, I look at this from the framework that we're in a simulation, a consciousness simulation. So this is the inner layers of it. And it works the same way with the disclosure community as it does with the political community, or what they call the, truther movement. So one of the things that I found, information I was given, now whether or not this is accurate, whether it's truthful, that remains to be seen, because it's from handlers, or one specific one. But he said that there was a program called Project Red Pill, and this has to do with infiltration into the truther or patriot community, or whatever you want to call it, the nationalist community or whatever, infiltration into that, and then the creation of just total chaos and infighting, as well as propping people up who are disinfo agents, and then exposing them, and then therefore that overlaps to anybody else who's telling the truth in the skeptic's eyes, and so on. It's the same exact pattern, and we pretty much had it from the start. Well, actually, it's always been going on, but we've had more of it than meets the eye. And I think too that the political side of this is actually getting the remote mind control, obviously, because the stakes are high. They got to control the politicians. But they also have to control the people and what their opinion is. And it's what they're doing is engineering the majority consensus, but they're keeping it split up in several camps, just like they do with the disclosure community. So they're always pitting people against one another. Yeah. And it's a divide and conquer strategy. And lately what we've been getting is we got the new age being injected into the super soldier community and so forth. And then they're just mixing it all together, to the point where you were saying it's just like a clown show at this point, or I forget what you said, something about a rag mag or something like that, like a Weekly World News tabloid magazine.
Yeah, remember the old National Enquirer? I remember when I was growing up. I don't know if Rob remembers them. With your parents, grocery store, right? Remember they always had the UFO, you know, and there's
For that alien.
it was some just idiot kind of thing, you know, and you realize you just saw that and you're like, oh, these people are bananas, tinfoil hat, UFO.
It would always have like articles like it would say like Marilyn Monroe has alien babies, and it would make you want to grab it and look at it. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
I'm surprised that went away. I missed that magazine.
You missed that one, yeah.
Well,
I think it's still around. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen it, but I think they're still around though. I'm not sure. You know.
I think we would have heard of it by now, but maybe they are. Maybe it's virtual. Maybe somebody will hear this and start it back up again, and then we'll have something. Then we'll have something the handlers can read and get their ideas from.
This is true.
You know,
they're actually running it now. It's called Disclosure.
Yeah. Well, why do you think they're taking people out though? Like we saw a lot of deaths this year. What do you guys think is going on with that? Like, or do you think people are just dying by happen chance? Like what do you guys think? Like,
do you want me to go first on this one, Andrea?
And also, we'll have anybody in the in our audience too wants to throw in there. Whenever you throw it in the comments, and we'll read them from there too. Go ahead, yeah, Nathan. What do you think?
What's been going on is, well, when you're in these programs, and that's who they seem to be going after right now. You've got a termination date. They've got a time that they're going to try to take you out, regardless of what you do, whether you're just living a normal life and you're keeping quiet, or you're up and you're on a stage and making a lot of ruckus and causing them problems. You know, so like for me, it's 51 to 55. That's when they want to get me. So they've got to engineer consent out of you in order to get there. And that's what's happening at some layer or some level or another. People are consenting to this to a certain degree. And so what's happened is to a lot of the people is they've made them sicker for their life, especially in the last couple of years. That way, every one of these people has most of them, as far as I know, has had some serious condition or multiple ones. And so that it's more in what they call it. The handlers refer to it as an engineered lifetime, and they often refer to themselves as life engineers. So they're engineering an end. So a lot of these people are going out because it was their scheduled time and they didn't resist enough. They didn't do something, or they simply gave up under the pressure because their lives or their health was too bad. And then when you give up, then that's like, for example, if they make you suicidal and they keep you in that state of mind, they keep you depressed and helpless and so forth, you're giving them consent to kill you, especially if you're being told, like I was for a long time, hey, you're part of our ET family. This is your spouse. This is your sisters, your brothers and everything. And we're going to pull you out and it's time to go home. But it's not really your home that you're going to. You're giving away your authority to live, and you're giving up your life to them, and you're letting them take you out. It's a way of engineering consent, but doing it through deception. It's always through deception. The rule is if you give in and give consent, they can do whatever the hell they want. But there is no rule that says you must be confronted with the truth before you make that decision. So that's what's happening with a lot of these people. And also, as a secondary advantage to them, of course, they're shutting them up as well. And they're intimidating other people, because if people see this and they're on the sidelines and they want to go public or thinking about it, they'll think twice. They'll worry about it, because they can also attack your family, your finances. They can affect people around you. There's a whole list of things they can do to you. And it all basically focused, the heart of it is remote neural monitoring and having that electromagnetic frequency address. If they've got yours, they can do things that even affect people around you using your energy and using your behavior and your mannerisms that they can take over or manipulate in such a way where you think you're in control, but you're really playing into their hand.
Yeah.
So there's so much to this, a lot of it. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's see if anybody in our audience. We have Charles. I think they want people to be naive and ignorant and stubborn, serve the enemy advantage. Oh, of course. I mean, they want, I think they keep doing the same old shit. Yeah. So that's exactly. Don't let them steal others' imagination to enslave people. Sure. They hide behind a room of TV screens. Oh yeah. I mean, this is, I always say that I suspect a lot of these people who are talking nonsense, like it's almost embarrassing to watch these people. And I think, I don't think they're doing it out of their own, creativity. I think they're being you need to say this. And you're like, oh my God, okay, here I come on. You know, it's like, I think that's what they're doing. They're puppeting people.
I was in that situation. The difference between me and a lot of people is that I was put in that situation. I was deceived. I was dealing with counterfeit ETs that were, I mean, there was ETs involved, but they were involved in the abduction aspect of it when I was a child. The rest of it was the U.S. military, as well as other clandestine military factions on and off world that are part of this conspiracy. They were the ones behind the fake ET contact. They were the ones behind me, making me think that it was a Hajayan ET, and I was in an engineered lifetime, and it was for therapeutic personality re-engineering, and they got very technical with it because I'm a technical thinker, and they'll cater to you, to what you think that, you know, it would actually be. If you're just in that, you know, love and light spiritual stuff, you're never going to hear anything technical. But if you want the technical side, they've got that version of bullshit for you. So I'm one of the people that came out of that, which makes me dangerous to their agenda. It also makes me pretty much blackballed in the community. There's not many people that want to put me on because they're like me back then, and they're looking at me and saying, you know, well, obviously the enemy's gotten to him, and he, you know, he's doing, or he's an agent, or one of these other things. There's a lot of these protective psychological mechanisms that they build into your programming so that you'll be in denial of the evidence that's sitting right in front of you.
Yeah.
So, and Andrea, you're in pretty much the same boat lately too, because you've taken a stance against this whole bullshit thing, and that's what we need to see. And you've been pretty awesome with that.
Well, you know, the thing is, though, everybody like thinks like that. You know, most people are like, what the? And you're starting to see, I would say, in the past maybe month or so. And I don't necessarily agree with this. You know, if you're going to enter somebody else's home podcast, you should be, I think you should either just shut up, turn them off, don't watch them, or move on. But I'm seeing a lot of people really, you know, coming out with this is, where's your evidence? They say, like, this is, we've been hearing this for years. Where is your evidence? There's nothing. This, you're just pulling this out of thin air. Not that you're a liar, but it's like, where is the proof that any of this? And I think one of the main red flags for me is anybody who's going to pull up the politics and be like, oh, Trump is the hero. They're all deep state.
Right.
And there's no, and they're just, you know, he'll go and buy a carrot and they'll be like, oh, see, he's holding a carrot. That means he's going to build a rocket to Mars. You know, they're making up complete nonsense. That's just really loose. And they're bringing out these people who are obvious frauds. There's, first of all, I always tell people, no way the CIA is going to bring on one of their operatives to help out the other side. No, anybody who says they're CIA, they're still working for the CIA. It's like, they're not doing anything for us. Derp, derp, derp. Then you get all these magical people who are hiding. I can't show you my name or face or whatever because I'm in a very secret program, or I've been in secret. That's not such. They shoot you. It's just.
They don't even. They'll zap you before they shoot you. Generally, you get zapped and deterred that way before they even really put the screws to you and hurt you.
Yeah. Well, I hope
they forget that, like, real people. I was going to say, they forget that real people have been murdered over disclosure. You know, like back in the day, Carla Turner. You know, and I mean, So sorry, go ahead, Andrea. Yeah, like, but that's what real people were like seriously murdered over this. You know, like, I mean, like, and then people they make a joke out of it. You know, like, I know exactly what you guys mean. Yeah.
Well, if you go back to every one of the contactees back in the day, Howard Menger, Paul Villa, I mean, oh my God, every single person that Frank Chile has worked with, they've all gone through Frank Chile himself, but he's George Van Tassel. I mean, everybody he's ever worked with and known and met. And I'm doing some stuff with Bob Renault and also Gabriel Green and every one of these people, Howard Menger, I mean, Billy Meyer, you name any of the old time contactees, they were dragged. They had divorces. They had their life destroyed. They lost their jobs. They just crushed these people.
Yeah,
they did that to Bob Lazar too, right? Even though some of the Bob Lazar's information is questionable, they did that to him too, right?
I think Bob Lazar. Actually, I got to talk to Frank because Frank actually knows Bob Lazar. But I think they did a lot of like mind control on him because he would talk about his mind, like he would be like having missing time and all kinds of weird.
Right. He was reporting when he was leaving work and riding back in the van with the blacked out windows. He couldn't remember what he did. And when he was remote viewed by the Farsight Institute and the Future Forecasting Group independently, they had probably, I don't know, 10 to 12 remote viewers overall in those two groups working on it. They saw basically the same thing. He was profiled because they knew he was going to blow the whistle. So they brought him in, and then they briefed him, and then they mind wiped him, but they told him to go public. He was actually programmed to do that. They remote viewed the session when he was being programmed, and this was the periods of time where he was, forgetting what he did. And he said that was one of the, and what he said is key to his testimony. He says, the last straw for me wasn't just all the monitoring and getting involved in my personal life. It was the fact that he couldn't remember what he was doing, which really scared him, because anybody would be alarmed by that. And that's where the programming was. So that fits like a lock and key.
Well, I mean, I think that's ultimately the the 0 point, right? I mean, if you're all over the news on major channels and no one's hurting you, it just seems unlikely, in my opinion, that you're I think you're being handled.
Yeah.
What I wanted to mention with Project Red Pill is they put up podcasters as well. And I'll name some names because these people are big. There's obviously Joe Rogan, but there's that other guy. I think his last name is Ryan. He's got a crew cut. He's ex-CIA, but never, like you said, you're never really out of the corporation.
No, it's Sean. Yeah, you have to sign the NDAs, right? And then I've talked to people in that business. They'll remove your entire retirement. They will when they'll threaten you, obviously, but they'll take all your retirement money away. And that's in the military as well. They'll kick your ass. I mean,
or if you do what they want, they'll pay you well, and all the doors will open, and you'll have it made. And when I look at some of these people, it's like, I can see what they're doing. They're cultivating this a type of patriotic whistleblower narrative by taking these people that have official credentials with the CIA. And now they're doing talk shows. You got those who've been talking heads in the news, who would now become patriotic all of a sudden, and now they're turning against their handlers in the media, and they've gone independent, and they're really successful. Mm-hmm. But if you look at all of the overall issues, they only scratch the surface. They only give you the sanitized version of disclosure, whether it be political or extraterrestrial. And they're merging the two. So and that's where you get this narrative now, where it's becoming more and more prevalent, where you have these whistleblowers coming forward from within the CIA, from within the military-industrial complex. They're coming forward, and then we're seeing an even more interesting hybrid. We got a three-way hybrid. We have, the political patriotic one. We have an infusion of the disclosure, but now we've got the third component, which is the new age, and then that creates a whistleblower who then becomes a very popular podcaster and influencer, who then goes down and talks about all of the new age stuff combined with the military aspects, which then become, and that's about credentialism. Because here you can say, and this is how it's sold, it's like former military, retired, blah, blah, blah. And then you get into the disclosure aspect of it. And then you're like, okay, what is this? And then you listen to the person, and they'll tell you, well, it's not time for me to say this yet. They told me not to say it, but I'm going to just say this much, and then this is coming. That's coming. And then when you look at it at the bigger picture, it's the same repetitive style or pattern narratives that we got in the QAnon movement. So they're combining QAnon with disclosure. And I saw this back, 5 years ago or so. Actually, it was during the first Trump term. I started to see the fusion of disclosure with QAnon, and people weren't catching on. They were thinking, oh, Q's got to be real. They're finally addressing the alien side of it. No, they're just merging the two sides of the propaganda programming, putting it together, homogenizing it, repackaging it, making it fresh and captivating your imagination with it, and fooling you.
Yeah.
So so it's a.
Well, that's one of the things now, because some people are saying, hey, all right, why don't they just roll this shit out, right? And no, they're all good guys. They're the White Hats. They're the good guys, but we can't show this, and this, and I can't talk about this, and this yet. national security.
Right. Meanwhile, they've thrown that out the window. Nobody.
We can't share that yet because it's national. Yeah, okay, right.
And then people are literally tuning in to hear about the latest mission of the person. Well, what did you do last mission? Well, we did this and we blew up a moon and and everything. We came, we got the gold from Saturn and everything. And then they have this big elaborate story. You've got orbs floating around talking to they're having the experiences that I'm hearing out of these people's mouths are identical to what I went through in The Joy of Satan, and I think they've changed their name now, but that was a social experiment being run by the military-industrial complex using remote mind control and just about every trick in the book that they had, from creating visions, full-blown astral experiences, astral sex, all digitized through an electromagnetic frequency spectrum using technology by the Defense Authorized Research Projects Agency, and then wrapping it up in an Anunnaki storyteller envelope. So, and what I noticed is the Anunnaki belief system was something that they were using to introduce people to the ET, ancient astronaut whole theory thing, and then stripping away their belief in mainstream religion, which also is another type of control mechanism. It's an older one, extraterrestrial in its origins as well, and political, but they're just stripping that away and replacing it with the Anunnaki belief system, and then they can engineer these psyops from inside that framework and create because I call the Joy of Satan a virtual temple complex. And that's like you taking a pyramid or a big temple in ancient times, the megalithic stones, and then converting it to a digital format to where they can do just as much damage or a lot more, because it's not a regional thing. It goes global and it goes in different languages and it's translated, and then everybody can get on these different competing belief systems, just like with the religious beliefs, because they were competing as well. So it's the same pattern. It's the religious belief system competition pattern is also being used here. And the thing is that I noticed with the Joy of Satan, one of the things that the common theme is that if you've been deceived by the negative ETs who were involved with the Galactic Federation, and I noticed that everybody was getting slightly different information, sometimes drastically different. Yeah. There had people, and I was one of them, out there thinking to myself, being told this, getting these downloads, these psychic downloads directly from DARPA, that the reason we're all getting different information is to cultivate an awakening by giving us different information, so that we are forced to use our intuition to decipher through the bullshit to find the truth. And then that's going to help us wake up intuitively and use our intuition and develop our psychic abilities. I was told this by them through V2K, and I noticed other people were too in a new age. So we were kind of getting it. And the Joy of Satan was an inversion of that. So if you've been hoodwinked and you figured it out, you were being funneled into this group over here, and we were supposed to be getting the truth. But once I got there, I realized everybody was getting something different, and then they split us up into little groups. We were fighting amongst each other. They brought people in from angel groups, and I realized this whole thing was a ruse. Yeah. It was like the ones who are allied, with the demons, who were supposed to be, the good guys now, because they were the Anunnaki, our creators. They were going against the Galactic Federation of Light and that whole, what they would call the White Lighters. That's what they would refer to it. And then you had, the spiritual Satanists over here with Enki and EA and the Anunnaki, humanity's true, origin. So that was the thing about the Joy of Satan, for me, as much suffering as it caused and much damage as it caused in my life and my health and everything else, for the 7 months that I was in it, it was an incredible crash course in psyops and remote mind control. Because years later, once I figured it out, I've been able to take that, and I haven't done it effectively yet due to the targeting, but eventually, not long from now, I'm going to be putting all of this out there so people use it as a resource. So I suffer, you benefit. And that's the whole point of this. So I think everybody needs to do that. If you've been put through something like that, get out there and talk about it. Don't let other people fall for it.
No, the more you fight and get out there and do what we're doing right now, the less they bother you, I find. I haven't been hit in a long time.
When's the last time you got hit with directed energy?
I'm going to say in the summer.
Okay, about a year.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it was the last time for me. I was able to figure out a way to. I remembered how to shield myself. It was a process. It took about a year. But what I found is that when you can break the connection between yourself and the remote neural monitoring system, it takes away all their data feedback. So everything they do is just shot in the dark. They also can't directly hit you. I've had where they tried to hit me with a do, but it bounced off my head. It just felt like a wave of like lightheadedness passed for half a second. It was gone. And the asshole would say, "How do you like it?" It was one of his catchphrases.
Yeah.
And then he would say, "You just got hit with a touch of dew. How do you like it?" So I just said to him after he tried to hit me with it and it missed and his heart entrainment failed, I said, "Well, it hits like your you-know-what soft," is what I told him. But then after that, they stopped because they have a pattern that I've found is once they figure out that they failed in what they're trying to do to you, they don't go back to it. Because as if they realize, okay, this is an innate ability that's come out in this person or a particular characteristic, and they're seeing through this or that, or they're blocking something, let's not give them any more practice. Let's not make them better at it.
You like that? Yeah.
Another form of attack.
That's what I tell people. Everybody's like, "Oh, I don't want bad things to happen to me, blah, blah." It's like, well, guess what? There's bad things happen in life. They're going to keep happening to you. The thing is that you can't hide from these people. I always find the more people that are weakened and hide and are frightened, they just get boom, boom. They just go for it. They're like vampire at them. But the people who are like, "Fuck you, I don't give a shit. You're not touching me." Those are the ones that survive.
Yeah,
they just don't. Oh, we have Tim said hi, Tim. Yes, I guess Crystal. Yeah. No, it's and I noticed that with my channel because we got hit with a bunch doing a live like this. We got hit with a bunch of bots, like just wild, and never got hit again. And every once in a while, and I always tell people about these. You'll get comments in the comment section when you post a video or on Facebook, whatever. Like our Facebook group's been infiltrated. We get rid of them, and you can just tell. But they have fake accounts. And now I used to get, because I would play with them, but they don't like that. So the more you play with them, the less they. Now I'm down to like maybe one every so often. They just all pull.
You wean yourself off the bot habit.
Yeah,
I'm bot free now.
I don't think you've ever had any, Rob, on your channel.
Bots? Attacks? No, I don't get a lot of bots. For whatever reason, like I don't get. I get it's pretty good, like yeah, like I think I get hit sometimes, I went through that entity attachment I had for a long time. It was wicked, man. It was like but I learned how to beat it, and it's kind of like Nate said, it's like once you learn an ability, it's like it's like they're torturing me, but like I'm learning how to activate things in myself to protect myself and like and expand on my ability, so it actually ends up being a benefit in the long run.
Yeah, totally.
And you're building confidence.
Because now I can project my energy onto someone if I want to, not in a negative way, but in a positive way. I can move energy off me. I can sense when energy's coming in to me. Yep. You know what I mean? It's really interesting. I'm not like like I know some people who can they can tap into your energy field and they can touch your body and stuff like that. I can't target specific areas or anything like that, but I can move energy for sure.
Yeah, and energy's all around us when we communicate. Most people don't even realize that what they're experiencing when we interact with people just verbally, that the emotions that they feel is environmental energy as well. It's in the environment, you're projecting it, you're receiving it. But we're told and conditioned to ignore that. There's nothing to that.
No, it's well, I asked you guys, what do you think is what do you think 2026 is going to bring for us? What do you think?
Can you decipher what the chicken said?
Oh, can you?
I love that chicken noise. I smiled when I heard that. Like that's so cool. You have is that a rooster? Would that be a chicken?
That's Jesse. He's come. I think he's right in the hallway. Sometimes you can hear him, sometimes you can't. But that's Jesse.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Now he's like, yeah, you guys are right, but There you go. It's very loud on my end, but yeah, I was wondering what you guys think. What kind of shit's going to happen this year with politics and Jesse.
I don't know. I mean, like geopolitics, it seems like things are heating up, and for some reason, like Trump wants to take Greenland. Like I did a show with Indigo Angel about this, and then like he's also have an interest in Iran too. You know, like so that's going to be interesting to see what plays out there. You know, both places. I wonder why Trump's so invested in Greenland. You know, I don't know what you know.
That's all been published. I forget exactly what it was because I have been following the geopolitical stuff like I normally do, but it's about resources and they want to get control of certain resources for the future. You got Russia and China competing. Mainly China is more of the competitor. They're, especially with the military spending. They're about 2/3 or more, or 75% or so. That's maybe a fifth or something, or a sixth of what we spend, but it's a geopolitical, it's a chess game where they're attempting to seize certain resources and so forth. But ultimately, what it really comes down to is what Trump is here to do is to fool people and then to usher in the framework for the world government, for the AI takeover, under the cause that he's here to fix things and here to disrupt things. The real Trump now and what's really been behind him the whole time. And people will say, well, he got shot. They attempted to kill him. What you have to understand is they don't just put their money on one person. They've got a whole group of people, a whole system, and they infight. So you have one faction wants to get rid of Trump and put their person in so they can have complete control, so they can manage the system for the higher ups. And then you have, Trump, which represents primarily Israel and the whole Israeli Zionist movement.
Yeah.
And so you have those sides fighting. So what people thought was a man of the people who happened to be a billionaire and just happened to be born into this privileged family that had all these opportunities, which never happens, because when you really understand the way this world works, as they say, the world's a stage. And I say, well, only if you decide to be a non-participating member of the audience. But everything's just a show. So they're putting these people up there and giving us the illusion that they're here for us. And the whole reason why they never clean up the corruption and all of the government waste is because later on, after they've gotten rich off of it, they're going to move in the AI to clean it up, and the AI will control everything. But the AI will be programmed to maintain the corruption and protect it while going after the small people, us.
Oh yeah.
Us. Oh yeah. So this has all been a carefully crafted deception, and they're very good at it because they started with the QAnon stuff early on, back shortly before Trump took office, and have been building on it ever since. And they've got people believing that when Biden was in, Trump was actually the president, using Biden, who was an actor, a guy wearing a mask and just some younger guy than who he was, and that the real Biden was in Guantanamo Bay or dead, like Hillary. And then they had the people with the ankle bracelets or whatever they had, like ankle surgery or sprained ankle, they'd have like a boot on. They're saying, well, they're wearing this boot because they're trying to cover up the ankle house arrest anklet thing. And I've heard so much stuff, and what really gets me is that the people, and there's people who are prominent researchers in the disclosure community, they've been with Q the whole time. They put out falsehood after falsehood after falsehood, and yet they're still going with it. It comes down to are you mind controlled, or does this pay the bills? I mean, or both.
I think both. That's my suspicion. Yeah. I mean, I don't. At some point, you can't get out of it because they're either going to throw porn on your computer or kill your wife or some kind of crazy ass thing like that, and you're like, all right, well, I think there's the threat aspect, but I also think they get paid. I think it's both.
And also try going back into the workforce after you've done 20 years of conspiracy podcasting. It's hard to get a job working at a fast food restaurant. It's hard to keep up too because of the conditions and the pay. But But you've lived this lifestyle, you're locked into it, and you're willing to lie to yourself, and therefore you're willing to stretch the truth, to put stuff out there that you should be questioning and you normally shouldn't be putting out, but it's going out there anyway because you're playing a role and at least you're getting by.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think there's going to be such an increased pressure on the regular person. I don't know how people survive now. I just think they'll push and push this. I think that's probably how they're going to run. Well, anyways, Jamie Martinez is back in France, still trying to work on the transhumanism thing. But that's ultimately what I think they're doing right now is they're crushing the regular person to the point where they won't resist and they'll be able to roll out the digital ID and they'll all hop on board. The whole ultimately what will happen is you'll lose everything because you won't be able to pay your bills. If you don't get that's what they'll do is like, if you don't take the mark of the beast, what they call it, digital ID, if you don't become part of the program, there's no way for you to pay your bill. So they're going to seize your house. They're going to seize everything. And they're going to be like, oh, you didn't pay your taxes. It's like, I want to pay my taxes, but I can't. They're like, oh, well, that, you could pay your taxes. If you just get the digital ID, then everything will be fine. So they're going to, and everybody's just going to go along with it like they always do because humans are all fear-based. They're obsessed with survival. And they don't want to lose every little piece or scrap of goodie that they have, their little cell phones or their cars or whatever. It's going to be so easy. This entire world will go transhuman in like no time.
Wow. Oh, yeah. We're already seeing it. I mean,
you're already seeing it. Yeah.
It was really one of the first steps to this. There's been a lot of stages to this, but the cell phone was the big part as far as connecting everybody, bringing everybody together so they can monitor everyone. And that's all part of this whole scheme. So as you progress into it, each little step is a little bit easier because you've already made a couple difficult ones. You've had to switch to the phone. Everything's there's a couple of people I know. I think I know, like, there's one person left that I know that doesn't have a cell phone, and he's positioned himself in a situation where he can go without one, and he basically has to stay home and not do much. And he's retired now. Yeah, he does very little outside work, and when he does, he's got to borrow phones from people, and he can't go to a regular job because a lot of these places you need your payroll's got to be done on your phone. All the shit's done with the telephone. And you need it at everything you got to do is part of the phone. So then the next step is, and they're telling us what they're doing. They've already said within 5 years, the phone's going to be phased out. That's the beginning of the phasing out of the cell phone. The phone will be in your head, in your brain. Yeah. And that's going to be the downfall of humanity. And that's
yeah. Radislav said the UK has canceled digital IDs. I've heard about that. I think that's a psyop.
Oh, and well, actually, Trump said there's going to be no digital currency.
Right.
And then he lays the foundation for it to happen as soon as he leaves office.
It's just a psyop. I think they're like, oh, well, they're gonna come back in with something. So Skynet. Yeah, Skynet. Slave. Oh, we're already slaves. You were born a slave. I mean, that goes without.
Now, here's something else that I've seen that's really been disturbing, and it's the co-opting of independent media. Because when back around 2008, 2005, whatever, on the internet really started going, and InfoWars started to grow and become bigger, and then that became kind of like the mothership for alternative media. And then all of the other people started to come out, like We Are Change, and I've seen literally everybody become co-opted. I don't think there's anybody out there at this point, if they're not co-opted by something financial, something legal, it's a belief system. So, and then you have all these, then you have the anti-Semitism, which can get pretty brutal. You have the Zionist part of it, the opposition. So you've got all these competing belief systems, but what I'm seeing is an engineering of a co-opted independent media. So you have no free voices anymore. And I'm seeing this too and this has always been going on, but it's gotten worse, especially with the art community specifically, because what you have is a situation where people are, see, there's this narrative, and I heard this recently, Rob. There was another group of podcasters who interviewed somebody, who was apparently in the CIA. I didn't see it, but I watched your show and they were talking about it. And this person was saying, this is how it works. You start to get some success, and then somebody walks up to you at a cafe or a restaurant. They say, hey, I recognize you from that show. I really like it, blah, blah, blah. And they start making you offers. And if you take the offer, you're co-opted. But the truth is that only happens a small percentage of the time. And then when that really happens, it happens when you go into mainstream. You're going to sign contracts, just like with Hollywood celebrities talk about, how they get roped into these things and they can't get out of it. It's like selling your soul to the devil. But what happens more so than that is that these people become remotely mind controlled. So you have handlers that target these people. Some of them are assets anyway, like myself, for example, been in my lab. Yeah. And they know everything about their life. They know their financial situation. And this is all plugged into AI. So AI comes up with a near perfect strategy to co-opt this person. They can also look forward in time and create predictive timeline models. Yeah. So they introduce the variables, and then they watch the asset, which could be somebody in programs, just somebody that's not in the programs, but is in this community, getting the word out, being an influencer, doing podcasts, interviewing people. And they they plug all this in, and they start to add stimuli to these people. So they may think that they're out there doing the best work possible and they're getting the truth out. But in reality, they're being fed people who are also assets, like we've talked about before. They're being fed these people. They themselves think they're doing something good, but they become a filter for information. What this is they create all of these different people and they position them. And then you create essentially a simulation, an augmented reality, a distortion of what our collective truth and what the majority consensus should be. So they engineer it like this. So even the people who think, hey, I'm not the one who's being co-opted here, I'm doing the right thing, they don't even realize that they've been duped as well. And they become unwilling assets to do the bidding of these handlers. And it isn't, so when people say, hey, you're going to get that offer one day, you're going to get the Illuminati phone call. No, you're not. It's not going to come like that at all. It's going to come in a very subtle, clandestine way to where you take the bait, you take the offer, and you don't even realize you're taking one. Yeah. You think you're just fun. And one of the ways they do this is they will get you to believe that this is your destiny, this is your purpose in life to do this, and they engineer this life quest. I've got to do this, and I've got to save the earth and protect humanity, and we've got to expose this. And that's where, and look, everybody in QAnon, everybody in the disclosure movement, all across the board, except for a few rotten apples, are good people with good intentions, and are trying to do something to the best of their abilities, despite the shortcomings. And those shortcomings and everything else, and including the monetary system and all that, is being used to co-opt and control you. And until you realize that, you're going to get caught into it. It's a big.
Yeah. We got some. Let's see what some folks said. Jean said, "Yeah, she said I said that about cell phones years ago. Told my students in the future kids would be born with them installed." Yeah. Red Queen is running the show. Is AI is smart enough to make you believe that you were in charge, but you aren't. Oh yeah, for sure. It's
It's like they want us to get us to interact more and more with the AI, and then they'll eventually try to get us to merge with it. That's what it seems like where they're going with this.
Well, that's what Jamie Martinez is working at. But I think initially you have a lot of people who are going to do it willingly because they think it's cool. The ones who think Elon Musk is our hero, and he's going to. He's going to take his lowrider, rocket to Mars, and all those people who think that's great. They're all going to jump on the cyborg thing because they think that's cool. But for the other people who are more, questioning of that, they're going to make life so impossible that most people will just go ahead with it.
Right. Yeah. Necessity.
That's they're going to turn this planet into a synthetic one. That's what their goal is.
There's one thing I wanted to say is about the people who see this from a theological point of view. I've looked at it from that point of view too early on in my life because I went through stages where I kind of went into everything. I didn't get into Wicca. I got into looking at it, but what I got into is just about everything. And actually, I just lost my train of thought.
Oh, so, I hate that. Yep, we all do that.
I think it's just because I think it's me. So give me a moment, or somebody else talk, and I'll find it again.
You'll find it again. Listen to anything.
Yeah, it's in the garbage can next to the file shelf.
It's like
they do that all the time to me, Nate. I get that all the time. It's like a quick mind wipe. It's like I don't know why that happens. It's crazy, right?
It happens naturally too.
I never had that. It started. I noticed it when right when I actually 2024 around. I never had it up, and I just managed to finish my PhD. Yeah. I was getting hit the last year, and I just like literally crawled across the finish line. And after that, it's been like, you know.
Now I didn't know you were a doctor, Andrea. I mean, I knew. You're a doctor as well. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's in. I mean, it's in Irish history actually. I did a special program, so it's Irish history with colonial philosophy. So I'm into what we're talking about now. That's what I studied was psyops and colonialism and how they twist everybody's minds and. Yeah, that's been going on since like forever.
You teach then? You're
yeah, I taught for 19 years and then poof, that disappeared. So, but I actually saw the decline, the actual like cognitive decline in the students. Like it was so slow, but it was systematic. And over 19 years, I saw it go little by little by little by little by little. And it's right now. I know there's people who think these young people are going to be like the magic golden children, new earth, purple beams, whatever they want to call them. It's like
indigo children.
I'm going to tell you, they're already cyborg. They have no balls. They won't fight for anything. You remember how it used to be? As I remember when I was in college, we were all like, fighting for stuff. We were the rebels. We were like, but now. They won't fight any. They're afraid. They can't even talk to each other. And they were all the time like, what do you want me to do? Like, what do you want me to say? What do you want? Like they have no sovereignty or sense of self at all.
That's sad. That's really sad.
It was sad. It was terrifying at the same time. Not all of them, because see the other students noticed it too. And I remember one kid, he was funny. He wrote down once like they're degenerates, and I'm like, yes, they're degenerate. I saw them degenerate. I saw it, and not everyone was. You would have in the classroom maybe 5 students that were like us, regular cognition, and they were like, what the fuck is going on with these other people? They were zombies.
Yeah. Wow.
And you got to look into some of this too. It's the food. It's the food, really. I mean, you can see what it's doing to everybody. For example, I mean, the holiday came and I just started eating. I went off my normal food that I normally eat, and I gained 10 pounds within like a month. And I got to get rid of it. And it would take a lot longer to get rid of it in a month, obviously. Unless I'm going to walk to Timbuktu every day. But so you got the food, and the food really, when you get off of that processed food and stuff, and your mind clears up, you immediately, your brain works better, and you feel better, and you sleep better. There's a lot of benefits to it. It isn't just being overweight; it's the fact that you're being poisoned. The body fat is a consequence of the poisoning. And so then you have that, and then you have the pharmaceuticals that they're putting people on. And one of the ones they like to push, and this is for older people, or anybody that's got chronic pain, is called Neurontin or gabapentin. That's a generic and a name brand of it. That stuff is zombie pills. I mean, it's a Parkinson's drug that's relabeled for nerve pain, and they've been giving it for a wide variety of things that shouldn't be given to, and it should be off the market. It causes seizures, and it causes 30-pound weight gain, but it also causes pretty severe brain fog and memory loss. That's just one drug of many different drugs that have these side effects. So how many of these drugs are people taking? And then you got to look at what is it doing to the endocrine system, the lower testosterone, and throwing people's hormones out of whack. So all of that is a cumulative effect on everyone. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing basically a lobotomized, and I would go as far as saying chemically castrated in some cases, population of people that are just being kind of like chips. So it's like they're turning people into the border, like a bunch of tall grays with different colored skin and hair and smaller eyes. And that's pretty, and that's where we're headed. Another thing too is that, and there's that Pentagon video that was been circulating for about 15 or 20 years. And it was a guy that filmed a Pentagon presentation, and he served a lot. He got served 15 or 20, 25 years for this. He got sentenced for it. But he recorded it. I believe it was on his phone he used to record it. And they were talking about creating a virus that would damage the part of the brain that would become active when the person was exposed to religious information and religious stimuli, like the Quran, for example. And we were going to release a type of a flu virus that had the specific lobotomizing effect, inoculate the troops or whatever they got to do, but hit the enemy with it, and then it would shut down that part of the brain. Well, it appears, and that with certain particular medical procedures that were forced, that I'm sure YouTube still supports wholeheartedly, well, of course, selectively in many cases, that if you take that, it affects the hippocampus region of the brain, which is your pattern recognition. It's also, it probably has a lot to do with your personality and your outgoing nature, and become more introverted as a result. And of course, the pituitary gland is affected. So when you combine those two together, you've got your pattern recognition, which helps you see through the BS.
Yeah.
You've got the spiritual side, and you got the processing side. So you got kind of like the left and right side of the brain in a figurative sense, even though they're not really, I don't know if they're separate on sides, but you got those two parts that you need to be able to use your intuition and to navigate this world and to get yourself out of it. They're basically engineering people to be trapped in this type of spiritual prison planet, but also locking them into an official government orchestrated, engineered, mutual psyop, false reality that we're all in. Where you're at war with other countries. It's like the movie 1984. They have to have engineered division and conflict. And then the fear and the chaos. So I don't think there's anybody who can on this planet, even the elites, who could say, I really feel comfortable. Because at any time something bad there's something terrible always on the horizon, multiple things. There's war. It's just, all three of us are one paycheck or one event away from being out on the street. And most people are in that boat, depending on no matter how much toys and big houses they have, you take away their income, all that goes away quickly.
All that goes away.
Right. Nothing. And that's when they realize I'm just flesh and blood. I have consciousness, and that's it. And I'm at the mercy of all this monstrosity that's around me, this horrible system, which for longest time was comforting, and they were part of it, never seeing its evils. And now it's right in their face, and they're on the bottom of it, and everyone's standing on top of it.
Oh, for sure.
By then,
we have Tim here. He says the food thing. Absolutely, he says the starseed food conundrum. Tim brought that up. Absolutely. We have Gene again. They put me on statins. Oh, those are But I gotta miss YouTube. This is entertainment only. But it caused problems because she stopped. Good for you. They got my family on painkillers. Oh yeah, it's on Greenland natural research. Yep, North Raya. Oh yeah, Raya. I recently learned that nightshade, potatoes, tomatoes, etc., and even coffee were purposely introduced to destruct humans and many different. They introduced like.
Yeah, I'm drinking coffee too, and it's mainly because my schedule has caused me to sleep deprived, and I thought that I'd need it. I probably didn't, but it makes me feel like shit when my face is looking red. So it's all garbage, and we're on a toxic treadmill.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, you can't even avoid it. You just do your best to.
Yeah, what I figured out going back into the workforce is basically, it's a slave system. When you're out of it and you're dealing with targeting and you're out of the whole mess, and you're in your own hell, and then you get back into society and back into the swing of things, and it's in your face just how much of a slave system this is. Because, I looked for work for months and months and months, and it's like there's nothing really sustainable out there. And even what I found now, it can be taken away at any time. There's all these pitfalls, and a lot of it is built on corruption. And I won't get into my specific situation, But just as far as pharmaceuticals go, just in another subject, here's an example of it. You have people who are on opioids, okay, have chronic pain patients, people have surgeries. The DEA is trying to take away opioid pain medication, which by far is the safest form of pain medication. They're trying to replace it with synthetic opioids like Suboxone, which was never designed for chronic pain, never designed for pain after surgery. It was designed to, like methadone, to give to addicts. And the problem with it is that not only is it poor for pain, but what it also does is it's highly addictive, worse than regular opioids, and much harder to get off of, to where, some people never get off of it. They get stuck on it. And then, I don't know what the people do, but then, what I've noticed is that after $60 billion was spent by the pharmaceutical company to lobby government, I'm not 100% certain of this, but I'm still researching this. I have to go and look and speak, because it's hard to find these things out in a short amount of time. But I don't think for Department of Transportation drug testing, maybe even for the police department or government jobs, they're not testing for Suboxone, but they'll test you for opioids, and you can be penalized for it because your doctor's not going to back you up and say, it's prescribed. Here's a letter. He or she's under doctor's care. It's all good like it used to be. But if you're on Suboxone or gabapentin or one of these zombie drugs, and one of these ones that are going to cause a lifelong addiction and harm to your body and not actually give you as much therapeutic effect, they're forcing everybody on this. So they're calling people with chronic pain. They're doing Tylenol only surgeries where you get gabapentin instead of morphine after a surgery. People are going into shock and having negative patient outcomes, which is more pain, suffering, and ultimately sometimes death.
Yeah.
All being done under this cause of reducing opioid abuse, when in fact they're hooking people in things that are far worse than oxycodone. And it's just one of the things of many because they're at war with us. The silent weapons for quiet wars. You ever get a chance, read that document. But they've gone far beyond that. It's everything.
Well, it's brilliant. I mean, that's when you go back to the medical industry, that goes way back to the fossil fuels. That everything was a way to use the residue or the leftovers or whatever, the products from the oil companies. That's when Big Pharma came on board, because they started to use all that fake stuff. I mean, if you chew gum, you're chewing plastic. You have to, if anybody chews gum, you're actually chewing. It's not made out of gum. It's made out of plastic. You have to go and buy and spend like 3 times the amount. Natural gum.
That's what I drink. That's what I chew. I chew pure. It's pure.
Yeah.
Like pure gum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it doesn't have the aspartame in it. That's kind of why I do it.
Well, yeah, it doesn't. You're not chewing. You're chewing plastic. You're eating the plastic.
Oh wow. That's
a little bit. You're breaking it down, and that's So it's all insanity. I mean, I don't mind candy canes, and I was telling my friend Patrick, I'm like, I had to go on Amazon and find candy canes and spend 3 times more so I could have candy canes without toxic colorants in them.
Wow.
And they haven't taken that out, by the way. They've just been recommended to take it out. That's it.
It's insane. You have to buy, I buy licorice from Europe, because if you buy licorice here, it has colorants in it, all the dyes. I'm like, what are they? It's like, come on.
Do you see the pattern I'm seeing, Andrea, Rob? It's like the United States. You have China. They're like the model, the social credit score system. If you look in the book, I think it's Memoirs by David Rockefeller, talks about making China, it's like an experiment, the one-child policy, moving all the industry there in return for the one-child policy. They did population experimentation first, then they moved all the industries there, and then, of course, now they're doing all this other stuff. But they've engineered a system that they think is going to work for everybody, which is the Chinese social credit score system. But on the other side here in America, it's like we're the chemistry experiment. Yeah. We're the drug chemistry experiment. And so we're also an experiment where they can convince people that they're free, and they can convince them that they have upward mobility within a caste system.
Right.
Yeah. But yet it's all an illusion, and it just keeps the hamster on the wheel, keeps them content.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like we're in this grand experiment. Well, then you have other countries like in Europe, for example, that has less food additives, so the food's healthier. So you have zones of different experimentation on the human population, and they're studying this. And I noticed that Holland years ago when I went there, that was another admittedly a social experiment in allowing prostitution and legal cannabis and things. They've been socially engineering the population on a global level. And then we got the ET hierarchy above them, which is the real ones that are really the puppet masters doing all of this. But then their underlings are creating this system where they've got different zones and they're testing different things out and collecting this data. And they're coming up with a formula of total absolute enslavement, just enough pacification to shut you up, but plenty of control to stop you if you don't shut up. And then a reward system, which is rather shitty, in my opinion, because I mean, you're in hell. So it's like, okay, we're going to give you a snowball. Here you go. What flavor would you like? It's disgusting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, well, so Tim, I missed what Tim said here. What did he say? Oh, darn, let me see if I can pull this back up. So Tim said, let me see. This chat on my computer is just, I can't even read it now. Darn it. Oh, no. What are you doing now? I want to bring this up. Trying to pull this up on my computer. Oh my God. Okay, there it goes. No. What are you doing? No. I want to go back. Well, I have an old computer. I really should get, there it goes. Okay. There, now it decides to play with me. All right. Yeah. The Greenland portal Stargate. Yeah, I guess this is the main, I heard about that. I don't know. Our human body has not changed for the most part for more than 300,000 years. What we eat has, by the way. Yeah, taking meds and I mean, this is what Howard Menger was talking about. This started in the 30s, 40s, and 50s when they started. When the oil things came in, that's when they started using all the Rockefellers and So we're being reminded at work almost every day about having a flu. Oh, the flu thing. No, yep.
Yeah, that's the worst. Yeah.
Yep, there's that. Let's see. I'm allergic to all those opioids and canes. Okay, yeah. MK Ultra. Oh, maybe. Yep. And Timmy again. Terrans didn't get smart and strong eating rabbit food. Yeah, Paleo Man had it right. Pure water, real whole animal-based foods move the body. Yeah, moving and still the mind, engage the spirit and everything. Europe is the cabal's. Oh yeah, Europe is the cabal's headquarters. They don't want to poison themselves too much, right? Or they don't want to be surrounded by gross, and that could be too. It's like that.
Yeah, they got to have somewhere they can go in Switzerland or different places like that, where they kind of maintain at least some quality of the environment and the society. You wouldn't want to go, for example, to Portland. The elites aren't congregating in Portland, LA, Beverly Hills, or anything, or Washington D.C. Well, they're having meetings there to destroy things, but yeah, they're going to Europe. They're going to their secret hideouts.
Yeah, I noticed that too when I was in Europe. Ireland. I used to go to Ireland all the time, France, and but I noticed in France, particularly, like the people were like, I felt like I fit in there. Like there was like hardly anybody was overweight, and people had a certain look to them, and they had a certain vibe, and I'm like, wow, this is like, I was really impressed. Ireland's the same way. England was kind of a stew pot. It was weird. I didn't feel safe, and we were in London, so I can't say for the rest of the country. But my aunt and I couldn't wait to get back to Ireland. That was a very, very zen place. But now Ireland's all screwed up too. But yeah, you definitely. I hated coming back to the States, so I wanted to stay overseas.
Yet everybody here thinks we've got it so much better.
Yeah. I always found people here, kind of crude, aggressive, like, just not my cup of tea.
It depends on where you go to, like if you're like on the East Coast, like certain places can be more volatile than others, like I've noticed, like if New York's always going to be a little bit tougher. Philly's going to be a little bit tougher. Pittsburgh's not bad here, but it's still, it can be some bad, and then like some places have turned into absolute war zones. Like I'm in Pittsburgh, but if you go to Philly, like they just like were doing like big FBI raids in Kensington, because Kensington and Philly turned into a complete war zone. Like they were letting people just shoot up in the middle of the street. Or I mean, I won't say they were letting it, but like the police weren't stopping anybody. They were basically there to make sure nobody got killed. So but now I saw that, like, I mean, I'm not getting this guy's back or anything, but I saw that Kash Patel actually conducted raids there, which was good. But I mean, how long did they let this go on? You know what I mean? That's a question you gotta ask. It's like, it's almost like and where I'm going with this is it's like the complete deterioration of society. That's part of it. You know what I mean? Along with the whole transhuman agenda, the trans agenda. You know what I mean? Like, it's all part of like the whole the destruction of the family values. You know what I mean? Like it's all part of the destruction of humanity. And to me, it seems like it's like a reptilian force, like terraforming the earth for the way they want it, or some outside source wanting to see humanity go a certain way because either they don't like us, or I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think you answered it right there. It's they're raising. I always think the best way I can describe it is Star Wars, right? So instead of the Death Star, they're using these different planets.
Yeah,
it's galactic.
The Death Star, and they're creating like in Lord of the Rings too, right? They're creating a race of orcs. They've been doing this for thousands of years, and they're creating, cyborg synthetic orc type things. That's what they want because they want to keep. They're expansionists. So the cabal is just the minions for what we want to call the ICC, the syndicate, whatever, overarching conglomerate of extremely wealthy mafia ET, and their goal is just like in Star Wars or the Nazis, their goal is to take over galaxies, and they need a military. That's your SSP. Mm-hmm. They're using the beings on this planet, one, to make money and for their mining and whatever, for commerce, but they're also using them for their ultimate agenda, which is to start. They're already in 16 planets, so they've moved and moved and moved and moved throughout the galaxies, and they're.
One thing I noticed, Renetta, I've been playing a lot of old videos that I did with Renetta before she died. And one thing she said was she was talking about how they're trying to. This was so important, I think. But she said that they were trying to make humanity 2.0, and she said what their goal is to get the tech into people's bodies. Then they crank up the heat and see who can stand it. And she thought, and this was before a lot of people started dying. She thought that's why a lot of people were dying, because they're trying to get what tech in people's bodies, and once they get in the bodies, they heat it up and they see who can stand it and who can't. And I don't think I said anything, that would get us.
We're just having, this is just for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, entertainment purposes only, YouTube. So
everybody's got their popcorn and having a good time.
Yeah, in fact, when I leave here, I'm going to volunteer for
We're entertainers. We're just entertainers, professional.
Yeah, well, I'm being told to say this stuff. I got a military handler. He gives me messages.
You're right. Yeah.
I'm almost ready to come out with my big reveal soon. So stay tuned.
Oh, are you ready to do that soon?
Oh, yeah. How's your big reveal going on?
Not yet. They said just wait on that. It's a national security concern right now. So yeah, we don't want, and a lot of the humans aren't really ready yet for open contact. So we're going to wait while they're raising their vibration. So when 3-Eye Atlas came by, 3-Eye Atlas raised the frequency of the planet. So all of the humans are now slowly getting ready. And I know that's been going on since 2021, and it's been a long time, but you have to do it slowly.
Right. That's why everybody's lying to the population, because they're helping them use their intuition. And 3-Eye Atlas is here to do that galactic or planetary application.
The humans have to really lean into love, and they have to stop being so aggressive and so divided. So once they begin to come together, and I know Trump's going to help with this. So that's what he's doing now. He's taking over country after country.
I know I feel good when I watch them.
Yeah. Oh, I do too. And so what they're going to do is create, it's not the New World Order. They're going to create a utopian Earth where everybody is part of this structure. So it's easy to misinterpret it as a New World Order, but it really that's not what's going to happen. And then the ETs are going to come in and we're going to be like, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. What are we going to call it? I say we can call it like, I don't know, Putera.
I think that's brilliant. Yeah.
That's what I love about Andrea. She can keep going with the sarcasm, and
I go for days.
It really does help, especially when you just feel like there's no point in continuing to do this.
I've been there. I've been there so many times. So many times. Yeah, I'm just like, all right, plan B. I'm gonna go in the mountains. Right, I'm gonna get a free energy device, and I'm gonna live in the woods, and I'm gonna be like a Native American type, just out there, like just age with the trees, and like, no joke. I mean, it's like, we are like fun. I mean, it's like, yeah. I mean, it's there's some part of me that's still like fighting for, because ultimately, without benevolent assistance from other planets, we're fucked. I mean, there's no way. I mean,
yeah,
I don't see it coming from the people.
Yeah,
they're exhausted. They're completely exhausted everybody and conditioned them. It would have to get really bad before people did something, especially here in the U.S. So, a lot of people are armed, but what you'd have to do is you'd have to give those guns to the Europeans who will fight over a soccer game. Okay, they'll go around and they'll cut down the speed cameras, which they do. I mean, I've seen them on, I've seen the videos. They go up with a pipe cutter and they just cut it right off. Yeah. And here in the United States, if you sprayed something over one of those, speed cameras, you put some paint over it, you probably have half a dozen people who would snitch on you if you told them.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, the United States is shot to hell. I mean, it's going to be what we're looking at. It looks like they're grooming up for some kind of weird blue beam. They're using this guy who thinks he sees all these ET orbs, and they're not. They're ours, and he thinks there's some magical Virgin Mary type figure, and everybody's like. And I have a friend who's like spying on that, and he's like, it's fucking nuts, dude. All these people are like believing in this bullshit, and I think that's what it smells like for me. Is that I don't know if they're going to pull it off, because it may not actually work, but definitely I think 80% or more of the ET community right now is pushing for this blue beam situation. So time will tell.
Right. It's either going to be that, or it's just going to be an exhaustion of people's psyches on the subject matter. Like I was saying before, we had spoken through a text message on Messenger.
Yeah.
We're like, what do you think they're doing with all these drones and all this other stuff? And I'm just thinking, well, it seems to me by talking to people, that most people don't care. And that's what they want. They want to get you in a state of complacency. You just don't care. You're just going to focus on trying to pay your bills, and trying to keep a job, and trying to survive the system.
Yeah.
And then you've got all of this chaotic stimuli coming in, and it's like you're overloaded with it. So the normal human response to that amount of stress is just to shut it out.
Right.
So, most people could care less if the aliens landed. How am I going to pay my mortgage, my rent, and buy food next week or next month? And I think, it's either one or the other. I don't think they need to do a blue beam, but at some point there has to be some kind of end to this whole cover up. So what happens then? Does it come before the AI takeover? Obviously, I think it comes after the AI takeover, when people are less able to do anything about it, and their minds are more synchronized with the system. I think then maybe they could come out and then they could declare themselves gods again. Who knows what? Or just incorporate us into this draconian corporate galactic system that they've so as above, so below. Right. I guess would be the saying.
Well, I think to be fair, the whole disclosure community itself is quite small. So I don't think it has much impact anyway. Your average person doesn't give a shit, to be honest. They might be curious, whatever. But I just think it's a sideshow and a circus. And most people, it'll I call it the boy that cried wolf. They're gonna kick the can. Your celebrity speakers are gonna get old. There really isn't a lot of replacements for some of these old people who are doing all the, fake ET stuff. And they've been doing it now for 5 or 6 years, right? So, and some have been doing it since the 90s, but those are half dead, so we don't care about that. But it's just I think it'll just fizzle because it's nonsense. How many times are you going to tell people something's going to happen and nothing happens? And they've been doing it now for if not decades, right? Years. And years go by and years go by and years go by, and people are starting to pick up on it, like the 3-Eye Atlas bullshit. People are like, what happened to 3-Eye Atlas? That was all over the news, right? Where did it go?
It went bye-bye. It came through and it went. And, it was obvious that was a psyop because was it Abby Lowe or Lowe, whatever his name was?
That guy's a
yeah, he's out there pushing this. And then of course, the independent media is an echo chamber of all of it seems to be based on either what Trump's doing or what Joe Rogan's latest opinion is, or whether he's changed his mind.
Right.
And literally I caught a headline today, something about Joe Rogan calls out the latest shooting in Minneapolis or somewhere it happened. So there was a second ICE shooting, or not a shooting, maybe, I don't know, maybe an arrest.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever it was, some kind of ICE-related violent incident took place like the last one. And, of course, Joe Rogan calls it out. And then on his podcast, of course, and that becomes world news. And in the independent media, I'll catch headlines where Joe Rogan just exposed this. And it's like AI he's got a phone and there's somebody yelling. And I just look at it, it's like they've all run out of material and they have nothing to offer. It's like, we're not talking about the Bilderberg group anymore. Back when this was all getting going in this movement to get the truth out, it had some promise to it and it had energy to it. I went to a Bilderberg conference protest in Chantilly, Virginia with Alex Jones. I was there on a Saturday. It was 3 days. And they ended it one day early. They didn't do the Sunday because we were so loud and disruptive outside. They heard us from on the inside. So they ended it. But there was so much energy there and so much promise. And then I just see it all go to hell. And everybody's co-opted now. And the energy's stale. It just isn't there anymore. And it's just everybody's kind of just retreated into, and it's as if what they've done is like I said, they've co-opted those people. They've compromised as many of them as they can.
Right.
And now we're locked into so all of the people who were waking up to that reality are now locked into an echo chamber of who said this and she said that. And there's lawsuits and there's all this shit going on. And it's not much different from the Corey Good debacle and the whole David Wilcock thing. It's the same patterns. Like I've said before, it's Project Red Pill. Yep. And who knows what the name is or names of different programs are going on with us with this whole disclosure thing. There's multiple programs for all of it.
Yeah.
But, it's all overlapping now. So.
No, I think people are just sick of it. They're just walking away. They're like, the med beds and all that shit. They're all just walking away. It's like,
I know that's still going on, and
people, they're still wringing out the last drops of filthy water from that fucking med bed bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like, is there something wrong with people? Like, my spirit guides told me the med beds are going to be, they're getting ready. Like, they're on the moon, it's like.
The only med beds that I've seen is a tanning bed lined with magnets. That's it. I haven't seen much else other than the lights and things.
Yeah. All the new age scammers with their devices and they got the nose rings and the pink hair and they're trying to get $500 for their tanning bed and
they all have a middle name Ra or some Egyptian.
Yes.
My name's Ra Farley and I'm here with my new bed system here. It's equipped with 1,500 watts of electromagnets. We have special red frequency LEDs that'll help your hair grow and raise your frequency and your vibration. We've got meditation music, and and then there's this new thing where they just it's like a room full of screensavers of multiple colors flashing, and you're supposed to get some kind of effect with that. It's supposed to heal your cells or something. and I see a lot of that, and you know, I saw some of that at the conference. I didn't investigate all of it. There may be something that, you know, something to all of it, or something, or a little bit of something to some of it, but it's just the same shit we've all been exposed to. Nobody's getting better. We're all getting sicker. The med beds aren't here. Our healthcare costs are going up. They're cutting they're cutting our insurance. They're taking away our social safety net. They're disrupting the system. They're doing mass migrations. And this whole immigration thing, that was done essentially to create a digital ID system and to destabilize the United States and other countries with this, what they call it, cultural enrichment, where you take refugees from countries the U.S. has bombed and then make them migrate and fund it, you know, indirect ways, and then flood Europe out with a bunch of people from the Middle East who don't fit the culture and don't want to be there and are traumatized to no end. And then you've got all these people living in dirt, destitute poverty, being given a means to get up here just to collapse the system. And then the response is, it's like, you got 25, 30, 50 million people here illegally. So what do? And this is another psyop too. It's like, you know, if they really wanted to fix the situation, it could be done a little bit better. They don't need the shock and all military response. You go after the employers and you find them hiring illegal immigrants, and you give these people who were hoodwinked to coming here a paid trip back, because I think the United States, since the U.S. government stole from the taxpayers and used that money to bring these people here, I think we should at least foot the bill to send them home humanely and find these employers. So I was looking for a job, and this has nothing to do with racism or politics. This is just raw economics and how you manage the social system. There's companies that are incentivized to hire people here illegally so they can exploit them. And the craziness is that, you know, people will argue, we need that system because there's people who won't do certain jobs. Well, pay them a living wage and they'll do that. I'm actually against the monetary system with the money and everything and the inequality. It's just a slave token system.
Well, that's 100%. And they're not going to pay any kind of the way if you look at it long term now, most people are not. They don't have any savings, right?
No.
So eventually they're going to get old and sick. So you're going to have a massive collapse because you have young people who can't survive. Majority. I mean, you do have a strata of happy campers, sure, but the problem is you have a very intense chasm between the people who are doing well and the rest, too much of the population. And over the coming years, the people who are living hand to mouth now, they're not going to have a retirement. They have nothing saved. They're going to get old and sick, and they're not going to be able to work anymore. So we're going to have a massive crumble of some shit's going to come down at some point.
And that's a guarantee.
Guaranteed.
You can't change the stripes on a leopard, as they say. And you've got all of these factors that have been engineered for decades. They're all here. They're not going away. And everything they're doing is that they're essentially making it worse. And then the solution is world government, AI takeover, and essentially a police state of the mind and the body, and a reduction in world population.
Well, you'll see that. I think you'll see the reduction first because people are going to get sick.
Well, yeah.
Because they're living under constant stress. So you're going to have a massive wave of sickness, and you're going to probably see more stuff like they do in Canada with the execution, put them to sleep because they're just not going to be able to handle it. Chronically ill people.
We've seen that already. Like even in our community, like the deaths this year, we had Renetta, we had James Brink, we had Kat Bennett. You knew Kat Bennett. What do you think happened to her? What do you know? Like what happened to Kat Bennett?
She had a variety of illnesses, Rob. She had her foot partially amputated.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Nate. Like, did they find reasons like the same with like James Brink? Like James had a heart condition and thyroid and everything. Do you think they find reasons to attack these people? And Renetta had coexisting issues. These people might be involved in programs too. So did they find ways to attack them to take them out, or is that just like a fallacy?
Well, they've been doing this to me since I was a kid. So speech impairment, had that, spine issues, terrible sinuses, chronic fatigue syndrome, a lot of things that I've had to fight through, and over the years and stuff like that. So for me, it was a long-term program of suppression. Other people, they seem to just kind of let them kind of, they give them some they give them some freedom in their lifetime to do their thing, and they can hold a job, live a semi-normal life, but eventually, they build up the layered sicknesses, and then they, like I said, they engineer an end for your life, so they take you out. Right? And I did have had an altar come through a little over a year ago, came through several times and then stopped. But the last thing he said to me was, he said, I said, when are they going to try to kill me? He says, they're not going to let you live past 55, but only if you let them. And he laid it all out. And he said, you can turn that around and you can stop that. You've got to stop that. So it's if you let them. And, some people by that point, I mean, if things didn't change for me, and they didn't change for me because I was given some freedom or I was left alone, I actually had to fight for everything that I got and got back. So I'm just climbing back into the workforce. I'm just putting a lot of these long-term illnesses behind me that have kept me suppressed. The mind control itself was the part that really had to be fixed. And you can't work when you're targeted. So, I mean, if you were to go out and do a risk where you're in charge of people's lives and doing something that safety is paramount,
right?
And they can send, like say you're driving a bus or something, they can send a car crashing into you. They could cause problems on the bus. So you could be driving passengers around. There's all sorts of things, violent things that can happen, problems that they can engineer around you. So you get to the point where you either shut up and hide in the house and somehow survive that way, or you go out and get taken out and just wasted. And so, it's multifaceted, the level of suppression and the way they do this. And I think it's why it's so important to get out there with a counter message to people, instead of romancing the super soldier experience and making it sound like it's some kind of adventure for people on the outside.
Oh, no.
Because that's another problem. And you got the people who are more realistic with it and understand the gravity of it and the human rights violation aspect of it.
Oh.
But at the same time, there's this Stockholm syndrome, and we really need to look at this and label it what it is. This is the greatest human rights violation of all, and there's nothing could be worse than this, and it's now being expanded to the entire population. Yeah. So I think we're kind of the prototypes, getting all of the targeting and all of the tech, and then it gets expanded to the rest of the public. And, they don't want those people out there like Renetta Jones talking about this. And just, even if it's just in the echo chamber that they allow us to speak in, they don't want it. They want it, if they had their wish, they would get rid of it altogether. So, but if they're going to take some of us out, some of the people that have been really outspoken, then we need more people to rise up and be outspoken and replace them. You can't just sit back and let them do this to us. And, so, and that means you've got to take the bull by the horns. You've got to put yourself at risk, and much greater risk than you were if you were silent and being semi-left alone, because they're going to ramp up the pressure and the attacks. And it was pretty much relentless with me. And it's mainly, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that they couldn't use me for the psyops. And so I was unfit for that. And I actually have a memory of being in a lab with a soul transference memory. And, I'm thinking of, and I'm getting ready to go into this body from a military base. And, I'm arguing with the person who's assigning me, who's explaining to me what's going to happen. And they're talking about, giving me a handicap or whatever, speech impairment issue. I'm like, well, how am I going to be this teacher? And of course, I was under the influence or I was under the impression, what I'm trying to say is that I was going to be one of these types of social media influencers, where I was going to be some kind of spiritual teacher. So they had me, and this probably goes back to, and I did this a little bit about the presentation at the conference. I was talking about how this was actually a life mission to come in and experience all of this and expose it and get myself out. So they were co-opting that, using that to loop me back in. But at the same time, they were, it also tells me too that I wasn't fit for that. So if I'm going to run my mouth and they can't control me, they're going to do a lot of nasty shit to you. And that's what they've done to Renetta and a lot of people. Shanna Gilms was tortured constantly. And about 2 weeks before she passed, she told me, I think they're trying to kill me. And I know Renetta had said something like that to you and other people, Rob, that she thought she was going to be taken out. James Rink, interestingly enough, about, right after I went on your show or right before, Rob, I talked to James Rink on the telephone, and I told him about, I think they're going to kill me in my 50s. And he says, he told me 45 was his deadline. Yep. So he knew that they were going to do this. Now, does that mean he gave consent? That obviously if they succeeded, it means there's some form of consent there.
Right.
I just wanted to mention one last thing, and I'll stop and let somebody else talk. Is that I came on your show last time, Rob, and I was talking about James Rink maybe possibly not being able to get out of this matrix prison system. I hope I'm wrong about that. I don't want to be, the person that brings negative news. What I was trying to do is, and I've been with the situation I've been in, I've kind of blocked out all the stimuli, the psychic stimuli coming in, and I've just focused on protecting myself. So I'm not tuned into everything like I was for a period of time before I put these shields up. So I said that purely out of an emotional perspective, not actually testing the waters and experiencing the energies and remote viewing and stuff like that. A lot of people say he got out. I sincerely hope that he did. I just want to make sure you understand that. I'm just as much as anybody else wanted to see him free himself from this shit. So I hope he is in a better place. Yeah. But nobody knows for sure. And I just wanted to make sure that people understand that even if you've seen it with your mind's eye, you never know. You can never say for 100% for sure, because we're in a simulated matrix type consciousness, augmented reality, where nothing is really what it seems. And you may be seeing something accurate, you may not. But the overall takeaway from this is to be careful, because they can take somebody who died in the community, who's very influential and well known, and turn his death into her death into a psyop. And a bunch of people channeling this person. And I know they've done this in Max Spears, because there's a lot of people who have channeled him. You can't say that all of these people have gotten Max Spears.
Right.
On the flip side, when it comes to negative versus positive ETs, and is it all negative? Is it mostly positive, mostly negative, whatever? If positive contact didn't exist, and the ability to reach out and find out if somebody made it out of here and all of that, if that wasn't possible, they wouldn't need these psyops. So that's proof that there is positive ETs. It's proof that it's possible to do this, but you can't look at it, and I don't want anybody to think that I see it this way, is that it's all BS, and everything that we're getting is a part of a simulation by negative ETs, because there ought to be somebody out there rooting for us, and it has to be. It's just common sense. So they're trying to obfuscate and corrupt every attempt to help us here, and that's what all of these psyops are all about. Same thing with the political side of it. People want liberation. They don't want to be under this jackboot of the government, and the government has intelligence agencies, and all they do is engineer the population to think and act a certain way so that it perpetuates the police state.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Now we have some, let's see.
That was really.
Oh, Keanu Reeves movie. Replica brought back his whole family from dead and cloned bodies. Oh yeah, they will be monitoring the internet. Oh, yeah, definitely. Social media following, taking those. They're already doing it in England, by the way, UK, a lot of places overseas. Canada, I think, is too. They're already doing that. Insect, all kinds of Draco reptilians. There's most of the bad guys are humanoids, and that's what people don't. But actually, I had the same thing. Like, they hit me at 16. I remember I was realizing I was psychic. And I was sitting there, I started testing it out, and I'm like, hey, I'm like psychic. And then boom, right after that, at 16, I got hit. And just exhaustion, fatigue, almost like a Lyme disease type thing.
Right. That's what I had for a while.
And I never worked a real job. I never could. Because I had fatigue my whole life, severe fatigue and brain fog. And I'm actually the best I've ever been since 15 now. I don't know why or how, but
I think you already answered the question. I mean, you know why? It's because you've woken up to this and you've resisted it.
Yeah.
And you've gained a type of armor on yourself, or just by your belief system alone.
Oh yeah.
Immensely positive things, and you have to change your belief system first before you get out of any of this and be able to push back on it, because the belief systems are engineered to create a situation where you're vulnerable and giving into it.
Oh yeah. You have to. And I agree. I don't think we're locked into any kind of like loop. I think it's people who choose it, and if you just, I think as Dan Winter, I like the way Dan Winter says it. If you know how to die well, I think you can get out.
Yeah, dying well. That's I'm working on that right now, Dan. I promise you.
Oh, I've been working on. I've been ready to die. It was about 2019. Because I remember talking to another student, because she was really cool. She was from Romania, and she wasn't like the others. And I'm like, I've always said I'll die for a cause. I don't have a problem with that. And she's like, yeah, we had this conversation where it's like, I'm ready, So no regrets. It's going to be peaceful. It's going to be like, I came here to fight. I'm going to fight till I'm dead. So yeah, I hope that's part of my way out in the proper way, so I can get where I'm supposed to go, wherever, not back in here. So
yeah, I think ultimately what people need to work on, I mean, sure, we need to clean this world up and do the best we can attempting to do it, but people need to really focus on what's going to happen after you die.
Yeah,
you've got to take the control back while you're here.
Yeah,
the opportunity, because in past lifetimes, a lot of people have been here for more than one and multiple ones. They were totally oblivious to all of this stuff, of what's going on right now. If you go back 100 years, talking about everybody was tied into a religion, or just you kept it to yourself if you didn't believe it. But now we're in a point where we're waking up to these things, and a small part of the population is getting it. And you can do your best trying to convince everybody else, but it's their responsibility to listen.
That's right.
But yeah, recognizing what this planet is, how you fit into it, and hopefully while you're here, the reason why you're here, and then figure out a way to get out. I mean, we all need to be working on that. And I think a lot of the people who do the NDE research, like that, the Forever Consciousness, who's been on your show, he does excellent work.
Mark.
And we need more people like that, because that's really where the bigger, I mean, that's the end. That's the last psyop that you run into.
Yeah.
Because it's a progressive, it starts out with Santa Claus and all this other nonsense, and Russia's bad, US good, and and so on and so forth. And you get all, and then the religious systems, everybody gets indoctrinated into one or the other, or the atheist religion, and then you just kind of move forward. But the final psyop is, and it's like you're rehearsing for this your entire life. If you don't get it, you're going to repeat it. You're going to be right back in again. So really the way to survive the New World Order and the prison planet is to eventually die, do the best you can, take care of yourself, take care of each other. But once you get to that point, you need to have a plan on how to get out of this and recognize it for what it is. Because if you're just like, oh, the Lord's going to take me. Well, yeah, the Lord's going to take you, and he's going to wipe you and put you right back into a body. And you may come out worse.
I'll tell you what, I'm not coming back. There's no way. I'm finding a way out of here. I'm definitely not coming back.
Nope. That's a big nope. I think we got a three-way nope. I got a three-way nope.
3 thumbs down. So that's what I'm saying.
How was your stay on Earth? Well,
don't
go there. It's a lost cause.
It was a nightmare. Yeah, I was like, but I wonder why some people get like a better ticket. Some people get the golden ticket here on Earth. You know what I mean? And it's easy for them. And it's like everything just goes like easy peasy. But I don't know what it is. I don't know what the is it luck of the draw, I guess, here, you think, or what?
The system needs people to keep it together, preserve the continuity, make it function. So the people that are willing to do these things, to work here, and usually the ones who are working within the government itself do the best over the long run. But yeah, if you're willing to do, if you're not already marked and you don't have the whole system against you, like somebody like myself or Andrea, or maybe even you, Rob, and plenty of the people in the audience, then you've got the opportunity to do all of this stuff. And as long as you conform and you do what you're told, for a while at least, you'll be okay. But it's not permanent, and you can't guarantee it, because anybody who's working for the government or in these corporations, at any time it could come to an end. And none of the people who were there with you are going to give a shit about you, because they're just trying to hold on to what they've got. And you'll fall right down that ladder, and you'll be in poverty, and then you'll see the ugliness of the world for what it is, and it'll be too late. What are you going to do then? But try to climb back up and get out of it.
Oh, here's Danny. Let's see. I'm not subscribing to the whole aging frame of mind. Yeah, you don't know. That's 100%. You can just not. And where I slowly fall apart and then back up in diapers again. No, I'm gonna definitely not engage in that. So I heard somebody say once that's just kind of like people who are getting low vibrate. They're like, they're my grandparents kind of they just don't have, I don't know, they're just kind of frumpy. They're people who just, I hate to say it, but like kind of a step above an animal, really. I mean, there's a lot of people, like I used to go visit her in the nursing home, and I was like, what the fuck is this, And it's like, and I'm like, gee, I think euthanasia. But yeah, it's
they're victims of the system, and they're lucky that they can go to a nursing home, because I think by the time all three of us reach that age, it won't.
I would never. I can't imagine just like
wasting away. Terrible.
Yeah, these people were just like sitting in their own pee and like staring at a wall for 24 hours a day. I mean,
that's
no way I would live. It was horrific. I mean, but I don't think they minded. It almost seemed weird. There was something weird about these elderly. It's like, I don't know, like
what it is, Andrea, is they accept the life stages.
They just,
Like, people like us can remember some trace of our previous self and our existence. And to us, this seems absolutely foreign. It seems just bad.
Yeah.
But people will go through life and they accept this. Like I've got a friend who's just turned 65. He acts like he's 80. Or 90, he's old people now. He doesn't want to drive anymore. It's the guy doesn't have the cell phone. He's talking about he won't get a pair of glasses, and he's driving like Mr. Magoo, and he can't see. And he doesn't drive after dark, so he's got to schedule everything, especially in the winter. It's got to be before 5 o'clock. He's got to be back by 5, or he's going to be having an accident or potentially having one. And it's like, I'm saying to him, like, why are you doing this to yourself? And it's just like, I'm done. I'm like, and he's also the one that says, I hope when I die, I don't exist anymore. It's like, well, but yet at the same time, he talks about inspiring young people and all of this, but I don't get it. And I see people spark, and what it is, this system drains you. And if you're willing to succumb to it, and you're willing to think the way they want you to think, you're going to prematurely age. You're going to be sick during your life, and ultimately you're going to be unhappy. And that's what a lot of people are going through. You see people going off and treating each other like shit. I've had to do food deliveries. I mean, I've ran into mostly people that are okay, but you get a few that are just absolutely miserable, and they can't even interact with you. No. And what you're doing is handing them their food, and it's like, there's a problem. There's always a problem. They're always miserable, and they have nothing going on in their life. There's no creativity. And I've noticed that all of the creativity is gone. They don't want engineers. They don't want people making things. They don't art, music, making things with your hands, writing, creative, anything creative has just been drained out and gone. And it's been replaced by a video game and social media, and just this short little video segments that Facebook is like one after another. I find myself doing it, like looking for the political stuff or anything else that's of relevance, or it's mainly just to check and see all the other activists and see what they've said. But it's all toxic shit, and people sit there and they stroll through it. And I'm at least looking at something constructive, but even that just goes to crap.
Yeah.
But I look at other people's feeds, like how many spiders and kittens can you look at all day? You know, I mean, at some point you got to actually start living, and what you realize is they've given up, and this is like the salve to the pain. Just look at the phone.
Yeah. Well, that I found that, you know, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to disappear at some point because the more time I spend, which is where I spend most of my day, is with the animals outside. No phone, no nothing. That's yeah, you just zen out. You're like, you're okay with the now. You're doing your stuff. You're like,
yeah, exactly.
It just, people got to put all the shit down. They got to, you know, and just start going out in the woods. You know, you don't have to spend any money. Just get outside. Just start moving. And we have Ivanilda. She lives in the city, so she dances in the city. She walks around. She, you know, that's what she does all day. So you have to. People have to start taking control of their time, of their day, and I think that's, you know, that's I don't know, you know, but. Well, we've gone on now. It's almost 7:30. I know Rob has probably got another podcast and coming up at some point.
I'm doing the premiere one tonight at like 10:30. It's just a replay, but like, you know, I enjoyed this. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. You know, like what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go get something to eat. I'm gonna get like a salad.
Take a break and yeah. But yeah, this was brilliant. You know, I'm looking forward to, you know, us doing some more of these for sure. As shit continues to hit the fan. But one thing I want to do before we go is, you know, it's important to be realistic, right? And that's cool. That's what we're doing. But it's also important not to, like, you know, dig a hole for yourself. And is there something inspirational that you can leave with? I always say we'll see upstairs, but, you know, something Rob and Nathan, you can say that's kind of like to help people just kind of keep going, you know?
Nate's probably better than that with me. And Nate's always pretty good.
I don't know if I have advice on how to keep going. I mean, I'm like everybody else looking for that myself. But you know, I really don't have anything to say about that. But I can say what I'm doing at least. You know, besides for trying to take my life back and making some progress at it. You know, the podcast Nat's in here. It's always here, by the way. But you've met the Nat several times, Rob. I've had him in here a couple of times. The podcast, he's always in my face. But I've taken up woodworking or getting ready to. I've done, you know, so I've collected a bunch of tools, and I'm finally getting into the point where I can afford to buy the wood in a month or so and then start on that. So that's a creative outlet there, and I'm going to use it to remodel the house and things like that. So that's something I'm looking forward to. It takes the stress away. It gives me something to look forward to. So I guess the best piece of advice is when you're feeling down like this and defeated is try to find something that you can set a goal and be creative with, whether it be activism, whether it be making something, being, you know, expressing your artistic side, you know, whatever it is, creative writing, have some kind of outlet for yourself. And use that brain that you have and keep it working, because the people that you see in those nursing homes and that, you know, they have let themselves go. And when you let your mind rust like that, it's just like a muscle. If it doesn't work, it atrophies. And don't let that happen to you. And be careful with the drugs and the food and everything else that we, you know, talked about here. But ultimately, too, I think really look at life as a spiritual path, and because that's what you're going to be left with when this is over. Your body's going to be gone. It's your consciousness, your soul that matters, and that's the goal of the universe. You know, when I said that, I didn't mean a goal, so to speak. That's the gold with a D. That's what they're trading. You need to take that consciousness back and declare your sovereignty. And you can't think of anything to do creatively, like making things or whatever. Make change in the world and do the best you can with it and make that your goal. So that's how I get through. I make a goal, I make multiple ones, but I have a primary one and then secondary and so forth. And then I try to stick with that. And that keeps me going, because if I have something that I haven't obtained yet, but I think I have a chance, it gives me a reason to get up every day and embrace the situation and deal with all of the stuff that I've got to deal with. Because for me, getting up every day is like walking against the wind, walking uphill, running through mud, running through waist deep snow. It isn't as easy as other people have it. So I've got to really dig down and make and become a goal-oriented person. So I think that's the best advice I could give.
Yeah.
And
I'll tell you, my New Year's resolution is to start working out again. I've been working out every day. Even if I just take like 5-mile walks. I used to do 5-mile runs. Now I do 5-mile walks because they say walking is a little bit better for the feet, But but then I'm going to incorporate like strength training into that because I think, going back to the whole nursing home thing, I think when you stop moving, that's when you stop living. Like, I think we need to keep our minds active, but we got to stay physically active too, to keep our bodies like, processing stuff, move fluids through your body, all that stuff, blood circulation, working out, I think is the best thing we can do right now. If you can do it, some people can't do it, but like, if you can do it, I don't know.
Find your threshold. If it isn't working out, you could just do something, be active. And that helps too. Because what they want you to be shut in. They want you to be a depressed shut in who wants to die and is waiting and is willing to take any substance that'll give you comfort or look at a phone all day or the TV.
Yeah.
Well, I think, both Nathan and Rob are inspirations themselves, your resilience, and you're all still here and you're still fighting. And that's, I think as a community, we all stick together. And that's, like I said, that's my main perspective here, is to not be some, untouchable person that never talks to anybody. I want to create a community where we all, just like what you're doing, Rob, and of course, and what you're doing, Nate, too. It's a community where you're not judging people. You're just bringing people in. You may disagree with some people, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. That's life. But you're not. It's just like, hey, let's give everybody a platform. Let's give everybody a voice. Let's chat. Let's just discuss ideas. Let's question each other. And yeah, I think that's how we all found each other. And that's so important for all of our members in the audience too. And the different groups that we are in. Yeah, I mean, it's I think ultimately we know in ourselves that we're the real deal because we're accessible, because we're real people living real lives, because we're not personas, right? I mean, and I think that's what we need in this order. I think, and I said that's what's going to push us forward. And as Dr. Sal Pais says, kindness.
Yeah.
That's if you want to see a better, then start. It's the boundaries, of course, obviously, but kindness, yeah. Like I always say, we came in, and Nate, you and I talk about this, because we came in here with love, right? We came in here to try to fix something, to try to help something, and that comes from there. And you don't have to find love; you already have it, right? That's my new thing now, and we just keep fighting. That's all, right? So, cool beans, yeah. Yeah, community. Exactly.
We got to make this place at least one while we're here. Try to.
That's all you can do. What else can you do?
Well, you can get out when you're done.
Right. When you're done. Right. That's well. While we're here, right, we gotta do what we can. Yeah. So that was awesome, guys. Very cool. Looking forward to another one whenever we can get our calendars to collide. Let's say.
Yeah.
To collide, right?
Good thing we had no major interference tonight.
No, which is I have not had any.
Now, Rob did a podcast with a day or two ago with Riley Nusk.
Yeah,
I think, and
it was a nightmare. I felt bad for him. Like, he was just trying to get his message out, and we couldn't figure it. I mean, it was like audio issues, internet issues. It was like he was getting hit every single which way possible.
I saw part 2. Was that during part 1? Was part 1 so bad you couldn't do anything?
No, part 1 was good. We did one like it was a couple months ago. It went okay, but then for some reason this one was like we couldn't get it. A lot of people complained about the audio and stuff like that. But like once you do everything you can do to fix the audio, it's like there's nothing else you can do. You know what I mean? It's like it's up to the podcast gods at that point.
It usually fits a pattern. Usually, if you have a podcaster who's interviewing somebody from the first time that they don't want on the podcast, they'll put up a lot of crap like that. Like I went on, I was on Ida's show, and they did the same thing. She couldn't talk at all. I had to do all the talking and basically do the podcast by myself because she sounded just like Riley sounded. And I remember going back and doing your podcast and others where there was technical issues. But what I noticed is too is that, and it's the same thing when you go into a support group, you usually get attacked at least once or twice, is that just keep pushing forward, because eventually they're going to back off. They don't, they have unlimited resources in a sense, but they're not going to continue to hammer somebody that successfully pushes back. They're going to have to reduce the pushback and take it somewhere else or try another strategy. But eventually you get to be able to do your podcast, he's relatively new as far as telling his story, and they're going to try to do everything they can to intimidate him and cause as many problems as they can. And that way they're hoping that he stops. And that's the whole goal of it.
That's what I think. Going back, this is one last thing I'll say before we finish. That's how I felt with that whole entity attachment thing. It was I went back and I listened to some podcasts I did from like a year ago. It was going on for a year. It was going on a long time, and it was. I think the purpose of it was to drive me insane, or like, I don't know what, and I really think someone sent it with like ill intention, like black magic or something. But I fought through it, and if I can do it, I feel like other people can do it, and I learned a lot about entity attachments, and I learned a lot about energy, and I learned, so it ended up being a positive thing for me in the end. I can't stress that enough, and it was a real thing, what I mean? I mean, it was like a very, it was like, yeah, I don't know. It was like,
what was your main lesson from that, Rob? If you remember what I told you, you've got to get rid of it yourself. You can't just rely on somebody else to come in, because all they can do is temporarily set it and push it out. Comes right back. But what was your main lesson with that? I mean, what did you get out of the experience now that you're on the other side of it?
I think I had to change my life a lot. You know what I mean? That was one of the things I had to do, is I had to change my life a lot, and and change my ways, some of the ways that I was thinking, and maybe it was a learning lesson, maybe it was because I learned a lot from it, that's what I think. I don't know.
But I think it's a lesson in self-confidence too, isn't it?
100. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Now you've gained that confidence, you're going to be prepared for whatever's next.
Yeah.
You have a chance at it until you figure it out.
Yeah.
It all comes down to the engineering of consent in the end. I mean, this is what our reality is based on consent. It's like the creator, whatever you want to call the creator, you have free will ultimately. And if you give it up, this is what you get.
Yep.
There is no trade-off here. There's no good bargain, because then you say, what do you mean? Well, you're born into a world where everyone before you consented to this crap.
Yep.
And then you're conditioned to consent to it. So it's that, and it's all the same. This is one big experience, and people think they're living two realities. They're really one. It's just the other people aren't seeing the other side yet, and this is just one continuous experience. Do not consent to it. Do not be part of the belief systems, and don't listen to the people who say you can't change anything, because you can. You can change yourself, and if you can change yourself, you can get out of this. And I mean, get out of this when you die, because ultimately that should be the goal here, and not want to come back, because there's nothing here. I mean, if you want to come back, if you want to help people get out of here, go to the other side and then come back with your cognition intact, to where you're not under some form or level of amnesia.
Yeah.
You're at a deficit. If you're fully awake and aware, they can't touch you.
Yeah.
But under the spell, it's a world of illusions.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And when you die, that gets cranked up probably 1,000%, because it's like you're in a video game now. There's the physicality isn't there to slow it down. It's just one thing changes to another, and it can turn into a terrible acid trip-like experience if you don't go into the tunnel.
Yep.
But you got to remember, it's all consent, and if you can remember that, you can get out. So keeping that, staying aware and not forgetting what's going on with you, because that's another tactic, is getting you to forget it upon your death, and then you're just having a sensory experience without really being fully aware, and you'll go into that comforting tunnel. And then
Nope.
and it's
No,
really,
I'm planning on getting out. I'm planning.
Me too.
Oh God. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, and it was an honor having you on again. And thank all of our audience for joining us tonight, and of course our future viewers after this is loaded up onto YouTube, and people watch it at their convenience. So that's going to be a win-win. All right, guys, and we'll see you later.
Hey, thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Oh.